Jedi Search was the first book in the Jedi Academy trilogy, which was written by Kevin J. Anderson. And it started a saga where Luke went around to different planets trying to find Jedi, or, well, Force sensitive people who could possibly be trained as Jedi. And it was an alright series, but the reason I'm talking about it was actually my first expanded universe book that I read. I don't know where I had gotten it or what, but it was the first one, and I read it over and over and over again. And it was really neat because it set up a couple things, but some things had to be fixed and altered later on. Namely, there were other force abilities, like being able to create fire and stuff that was used that got changed later on. And Exar Kun, who was a force ghost, essentially, he needed to become a force wraith because the Sith cannot be force ghosts. They can become like a wraith, where they don't have full sentience, but that had to be something that had to be changed a little bit too. But it was really neat having Luke go from planet to planet and try to get people to join his academy and the building of the academy itself. There was also the whole situation going on the planet Kessel, and the Kessel was a very, think of it like a Badlands kind of planet, sort of deserty, but not super duper hot. It had a weakened atmosphere due to its position near the Maw cluster, which the Maw cluster was a series of black holes that all surrounded this one section of space. And another little thing is that Han Solo, with the whole 12 parsecs thing, was because he was able to fly through the Maw cluster without going into any of the black holes. And I know that a lot of people are, make jokes about parsecs as a matter of distance and not speed, but that was the idea, was that he flew through the Maw cluster, which when they made the new movie, they changed what the Maw cluster was, and there were giant tentacle monsters that lived in black holes and stuff, and it's like, that was like they loosely ripped off Abeloth. But anyways, so on Kessel, it was sort of like a prison planet, and they had slaves that were mining in these caverns because there was this ingredient to make the drug spice. And you would have to mine it. Well, it turns out that there were these spiders that put out the stuff to make spice. And Han Solo winds up getting captured, put in the mines, and he meets a young Jedi a young Force user, and the two of them escape. And this particular Force user, his story I'll go through more in a follow-up video, but needless to say, he did some stuff in this trilogy that would not be excused. You also had Captain Dala, who later on becomes Admiral Dala, and she is the leader of a small band of basically an Imperial remnant hidden in the Maw cluster because they were working on a new super weapon. And the new super weapon was the Sun Crusher, which is a fighter that was specially armored and that could withstand basically any kind of attack because it was meant to fly and use its weapon in the core of a sun to cause it to go nova. And that's really important to later on in this set of stories. But it was a very interesting start to having new Jedi. And like I said, it was pretty good. Wasn't the best series, but back then with the Bantam books, it wasn't really all. They kind of were more. I guess the way to describe it is more like a Wild Westy, because they were all over the place. And a lot of times there were new super weapons or force abilities. It wasn't until Del Rey came in and when they took over and really like organized everything.